Shalom. First and foremost, I'd like to give all praise, glory, and honors to Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahushai, Bahashem, Habakak Kudash. Double honors to the apostles of Great Millstone who rule well. Peace and salutations unto the elect of the nation of Israel. This is your brother Ayash Gabar from the GMS Virginia camp, coming at you with another lesson that I pray that you find edifying through the spirit and power of Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahushai. And this ain't going to be a long lesson, or at least it's not intended to be so. But nonetheless, every time I have an interaction with Esau nowadays, the spirit definitely shows his true nature, his true disdain for Jake, to the point where they really just don't give a shit. And rightfully so, because that's the spirit that was put in them. They are the sword of Yahweh Bashem Yahushai. To put what I'm saying in context a little bit, is I was having a idle conversation with this Edomite at the plantation. And, we were just going into how, certain things happen to Jake and it's overlooked, this, that, or the other by, Edomites. And basically, this Edomite just came, straight up Edomite, he just came out and said, hey, I don't even feel sorry for what happens. Now, it was a little bit more than that, to the extent of, the topic went into how Jake gets gunned down by the police for a minor infraction, but a Edomite could turn around and chase the fucking police down and he won't even get shot at. He won't even get tased. In fact, the officer would just run from the other Edomite just to prevent from doing him harm. But meanwhile, Jake could be face down on the ground with his hands behind his back and still get shot. And so the Edomite was like, well, you know what I'm saying? If he's resisting, then, I don't even feel sorry for him type shit. And when he said that, all I could think of was how bad it's going to be for him or for them in the kingdom, because he's not the only Edomite that thinks this way. He's not the only, he's not the only person that's going to, have this attitude towards Jake, But nonetheless, judgment is going forth. And it's going to go forth. Salakia, judgment's going to go forth double for these Edomites, but they just don't understand how bad it's going to be for them. I mean, granted, it's going to be trouble for Jake, but it's going to be a desolation for Esau, across the board. We're witnessing the complete bringing down of the kingdom of Esau. His time is at an end. And let me break out the scriptures and go into it. I'm going to start off with the book of Jeremiah, chapter 49 and verse 12. Shalakia, bros. Back always. I just woke up not too long ago and the spirits want me to do a lesson. The book of Jeremiah, chapter 49 and verse 12. For thus saith Yahweh Bashem Yahushai, behold, they whose judgment was not to drink of the cup have assuredly drunken. Yeah, we have definitely drunk of that cup of slavery, and we are the Lord's people. So yeah, we drunk that cup, and we drunk it, and we were at the dredges, because of how we went off, how we turned our back on our power, And art thou he that shall altogether go unpunished? And so the Lord is asking, do you think that you're going to go unpunished? In other words, if I punish them, how in the hell do you think that you're not going to be punished? Thou shalt not go unpunished, but thou shalt surely drink of it. Yeah, the Lord's saying, if I put my people through what I put them through, for what they've done to me, what the fuck do you think I'm going to do to you based on what you've done to them and what you've done to me and my land? See, Esau Edom doesn't understand. Well, a lot of them just don't believe in Yahweh Bashem Yahushua to begin with. You know, because if they did, then they would have a fear. Well, these average Edomites don't have that fear of Yahweh Bashem Yahushua on them. You know, they got this idea of Bebis where they could turn around and think that they can repent and everything is A-OK for all the damage that they've done in the earth. But no, hell no. You know, that's not even balance. You know, here it is. Another nation can come and do something to, you know, these Babylonians, and these Babylonians want their fucking heads. But somehow, you know, they think that the Lord ain't gonna want recompense for what they've done. You know, 9/11 happened. These motherfuckers went out and was looking for blood. You know, and then they made a memorial out of it. Well, hold on one second. You did this to the Lord's people, and you think the Lord don't want blood? In fact, if it wasn't for Yahweh Bashem Yahushai maintaining a thorough record in the heavens for what you have done to his people, we wouldn't have an idea of the level of evil that you have done. You see, you may sit back and try to destroy the information on this side and prevent things from being revealed as much as you possibly can. But we're at the end of this where all things shall be revealed. And that's not even touching the icing on the cake, because you people have done some wicked shit to Yasharallah. You know? Hey man, you people are in for it. No question. You people are in for it. So if so backing on what that Edomite said, that, you know, he don't even feel sorry for Jake. Well, the time is coming where we won't feel sorry for you. At all. At all. Because your destruction is coming. And when Yahweh Bashem Yahushua puts that spirit in Yasharallah, you think we're going to give a fuck? You know? Because right now, the Lord is going to have you Edomites do his bidding. You know, to do what you do to Jake. But after that, you're going to feel the anger of Yahweh Bashem Yahushua. And that's what you're not expecting. That's what you're not understanding. And it's okay. You might not believe it. I personally don't care. You know, the way you don't care is the way I don't care. The book of Zechariah, chapter 2 and verse 7. Deliver thyself, O Zion, that dwellest with the daughter of Babylon. For thus saith Yahweh Bashem Yahushua of hosts, after the glory has he sent me unto the nations, which spoiled you. For he that touches you touches the apple of his eye. And that's what you've done. You have touched the apple of Yahweh Bashem Yahushua's eye. And not only did you touch us, you have actually forwarded the affliction. You made our captivity far worse than what it needed to be. And you're going to pay for that. So you can sit back and say, yeah, you know, if Jake don't, you know, you know, if Jake wants to resist law enforcement, this, that, or the other, I don't give a shit. Now, don't get me wrong. You know, it's all the judgment of Yahweh Bashem Yahushua at the end of the day. And it's also, you know, a lot of these Jakes don't even know how to deal in the world. You know, the scriptures say, agree with our adversary quickly, you know. But Jake don't understand these things. So, yeah, a lot of times Jake do put himself in that position where the situation could be escalated. But nonetheless, you know, a lot of these A lot of these people, you know, they see these things and they really don't give a shit about you, Jakes. They really don't give a fuck about you, Jakes. As a matter of fact, they actually think that you, Jakes, are more or less the problem to all their problems, because in the same conversation, this Edomite tried to say that, you know, there were more minorities on welfare, more minorities doing crime, more minorities doing all types of shit. So I went online and I grabbed the FBI, you know, data sheet showing who does the most crimes, and I threw that shit in his face, and he couldn't say shit. The attitude changed, and you know, it was like, well, you know, we all need to live together. No, no, we all don't need to do anything. You know, here it is. You got this mentality that we're the problem, when in fact you have been the entire problem since your conception towards Jake. You have been a thorn in Jake's side from D1. You know, and very soon you're going to be taken out of the way, not temporarily, permanently. You know, and if you don't believe what I'm saying, hey, I personally don't give a fuck. Read the book of Obadiah, because that describes you Edomites over here in Babylon the Great. Edomites, period. That entire house is about to be destroyed. You know, and that's just the way it is. Deal with it, because you have touched the apple of Yahweh Bashem Yahweh's eye, and you and you actually think that you've gotten away with murder. No, no. As I said earlier, the water Yahweh Bashem Yahweh for maintaining, you know, the records on the shit that this devil has done, you know, that we haven't seen, you know, because we haven't even skimmed the surface on the level of wickedness that have gone on towards Jake, or what these people have actually done in the world. You know, hey, it's about to go down. You know, yeah, okay, it's gonna be Jacob's trouble, but Esau, you're gonna get your ass handed to you too. The book of James, chapter 2 and verse 13. For he shall have judgment without mercy. Yahweh Bashem Yahushua ain't gonna show you no mercy. None at all. That he showed no mercy. Salak. For he shall have judgment without mercy, that showed no mercy. And mercy rejoiceth against judgment. So you haven't shown mercy, mercy won't be given to you. You weren't happy with just blood. You wanted more than blood. You know, you wanted to destroy the particle of a man. You wanted to annihilate the you know, the idea of Jake. That's how great your hatred is towards us Israelites, that you would go so far as to try to destroy us altogether. But Yahweh Hashem Yahushai said, I have a remnant that will not bow a knee to Baal. And that's the elect. Because you people, the scriptures also says that if he doesn't return, there shall no flesh left that should be saved. Because that's just how wicked you people are. You can't even be good to yourselves. Your own elites are destroying you, and they're showing you right in front of your fucking face. But somehow Jake is the problem that is causing your life to be the way that it is. Your elites have converted you from citizens to slaves. But Jake is your problem. And that just shows the level of hatred that you have towards Jake. That just shows The level that you have towards Jake. Period. The book of Zechariah, chapter 2 and verse 9. For behold, I will shake my hand upon them, and they shall be a spoil to their servants, and they shall know that Yahweh Bashem Yahushai of hosts has sent me. Yeah, you're going to learn, you know, that we were always meant to be on top. You're going to learn that the kingdom was meant for us, you know, so you can possibly do all of this that you think that you're going to be able to do, but at the end of the day, you lose everything. Everything. And you're starting to see it now. You know, you're starting to see it now. You know, there's this silence amongst the people, but it's that silence that's understood. You know, I understand the silence that's going on because Jake don't. Jake is silent about some things. E is silent about some things. Moab is silent about some things. You know, the nations are just silent towards other nations, waiting to see what happens. Everybody's on edge, but E, you about to get it. You about to get it. Let me see. The book of Zechariah. Hold on 1 second. The book of Zechariah, chapter 1 and let me see. Salakia. I might have wrote that. Is it Zechariah? Hold on. Salakia, bros. No, it's Zechariah. The book of Zechariah, chapter 1 and verse 5. Hang on 1 second, brothers. Let me see. Heathen that are at ease. Yeah, Khan, the book of Zechariah. Oh, Khan, verse 15. Salakia. The book of Zechariah, chapter 1 and verse 15. I am very sore displeased with the heathen that are at ease. Yeah, I mean, you are very comfortable being in your races. You are very comfortable being in your wickedness. You are very comfortable being the way that you are because Yahweh Bashem Yahushai is long suffering. You know, like another prophet said, you know, Yahweh Bashem Yahushai will give you enough rope to hang yourself. And he's doing just that because there's a set time that you should not go beyond, you know. As a matter of fact, let me see if I can get that. It's in another book. The book of Second Esdras, I believe, chapter 4. Or chapter 5. No, I want to say chapter 5. Let me see. Salakia, brothers. Salakia. Second Esdras 4 and 37. Salakia. Khan. There it is. The book of Second Esdras, chapter 4 and verse 37. By measure has he measured the times, and by number has he numbered the times, and he does not move nor stir them until that said measure be fulfilled. And you're right, that said measure, because Yahweh Shem Yahushua has measured your time, because there's a point that you cannot go beyond, and there's a number that's on you that's also measured, and when that number is fulfilled, hey, Yahweh Shem Yahushua is going to put your ass through the fucking ringer. Period. Point blank. Because you actually think that you're going to get away with doing what you did to the children of Israel. Even the shit that you say offends a lot of people. I don't care. Okay, good. Keep that spirit. Even though we know that that's a spirit that Esau has towards Jake. But just understand that when it's your time and you're going through the fucking ringer, don't ask, to put your, don't ask to dip your finger in water, to quench your thirst. Don't ask for, your phone call so you can warn your brothers on how bad hell's going to be. And when I say hell, I just mean your condition. No, I don't ask for these things because none will be given. Because according to the book of Obadiah, yeah, you're going to go into captivity, but after 1,000 years, there shall not be any remaining of the house of Esau. And of all the nations that are in the world, you are the only nation that's going to be excommunicado. The entire house. The book of Malachi, chapter 1 and verse 2. I have loved you, saith Yahweh Shem Yahushai. Yet ye say, wherein hast thou loved us? Yeah, Jake has asked this question. Jake has probably even thought these questions. How do you love us when, these other nations are above us? How do you love us when, we see the benefits of the wicked, How do you love us when we're not in charge yet? These are the questions that were asked. Because it seems like to a lot of Jakes, especially those back then, they probably asked those questions. How does the Lord love us when we've, actually some Jakes are even saying this now. How does the Lord love, how are we the Lord's people and we're going through what we're going through to this day? To this day. But they don't understand the judgments of Yahweh Shem Yahushai, nor do they understand him. So they make statements like that, not realizing that they're condemning themselves in some cases. Was not Esau Jacob's brother, saith Yahweh Shem Yahushai? Yet I loved Jacob, and I hated Esau, and laid his mountains and his heritage waste for the dragons of the wilderness. Yeah, because you touched the apple of Yahweh Shem Yahushai's eye. He's coming to destroy them that destroyed the earth. He's coming to subdue you, because if he doesn't, there shall no flesh be saved. He's coming to take care of that mouth, because you have become very prideful to think that you can sit up in the seat of God thinking that you are God. But you're man. You've forgotten that. You've actually forgotten that you are the base of men. You've forgotten your history. But the beauty of it, as I stated earlier, was we have the most glorious, historian the universe has ever known. And that's Yahweh Bashim Yahushai. He remembers all things. So even though a lot of these Edomites, they might sit back and say, well, that's my parents. That's my forefather. It don't matter, but you don't understand that was you. That was you. Same spirit, different body. Scriptures say that there's no remembrance of former things. Same spirit, different body. Coming back to do the same shit that you've always done. And that's be wicked. Because Yahweh Bashim Yahushai is about to lay your mountains and your heritage waste. Everything that you've stolen, you're going to have to cough it back up. Everything that you've ever built is about to be destroyed. And everything that you think that's about to come to fruition will come to naught. Because you was given the earth for a season. The book of wisdom, the wisdom of Solomon, chapter 2 and verse 11. Let our strength be the law of justice. And that's been your motto that's been your attitude for a very long time. We are the strongest nation in the world. We have the strongest military in the world. We have the best this and the most advanced that. Well, you're starting to realize you don't. You're starting to realize that these other nations are starting to say to themselves, are you as weak as we? Hey, these other nations, and these other nations that are saying this aren't even superpowers or so-called superpowers. These are just your average small nation. Even though the Persians have been around for a very long time, they're showing you that you're not as powerful as you once thought you were. And that's another thing. I remember when the wars were going on over there in Iraq. Everybody was gloating and glamming on how powerful the military was. Yeah, we took them down in 3 days. As a matter of fact, let's fast forward even more than that. What went down in Venezuela. A lot of people were gloating. Yeah, we took over Venezuela in 20 hours. We got the most advancement. Yeah, okay. You went in with that shock and awe treatment. And that's fine, But when this thing started happening over there in Persia, you don't hear Esau gloating at that shit the way that they would if they were on top. You don't hear that anymore. You don't hear that prideful, mouth, because they're getting their ass handed to them, and the world knows it on every side, and it's making them angry. We get it. Jumping back to the book of Wisdom, chapter 2, verse 11. Let our strength be the law of justice, for that which is feeble is found to be nothing. That's how it was. Because you probably looked at these other nations as being feeble. We got our strength, but you didn't realize that when you were doing what you were doing, these other small nations that you consider feeble were watching and coming up with strategies based on what you've done to these other nations to defend against that. And they're doing it. Verse 12, therefore, let us lie in wait for the righteous. And this is the mindset that you have towards the children of Yasharallah. For that which is feeble is found without nothing. And that's how you look at us. The scriptures are multifold. For that which is feeble is found without nothing. And you look at us as being feeble, found to be nothing worth. And that's fine. Because the scriptures say that you are rich. Why are we rich? Because after this, we're going to be on top forever and ever and ever, 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 and ever, ever. And so your mindset is, therefore, let us lie in wait for the righteous, because he is not for our turn, and he is clean contrary to our doings. He upbraideth us with our offending the law, and objecteth to our infamy the transgressions of our education. Yeah, Khan, the elect's calling you out on your bullshit. Or should I say, Yahweh Bashem Yahweh Shai is calling you out on your bullshit. You know? You don't like us because we're contrary to you. So you lay in wait for us. You know? Good is set against evil. You know? And you're constantly being upbraided by the prophets, because everything that you've ever done in this wicked kingdom, actually everything that you've ever done, has been against the scriptures. But don't worry, because your judgment is coming. The scriptures say that you're going to have to give an account for every idle word. Every idle word you're going to have to give an account for. And you just don't understand how much you've offended Yasharallah. You don't even understand how much you've offended me as being a man of Yasharallah. Let alone, first and foremost, you've offended Yahweh Bashem Yahweh Shai by your blasphemies. You're gonna get paid back for that. The book of Isaiah, chapter 47 and verse 6. I was wroth with my people. I have polluted mine inheritance. Yeah, Khan, the Lord was pissed off with us, to the point where he allowed his inheritance to be polluted. And giving them into thine hand, the Lord put us in your hands, you are the nations, Esau, Edom. The Lord put us in your hands for our chastening. Thou didst show them no mercy, and upon the ancient hast thou heavily laid thy yoke. You didn't give a shit. You looked at that as the opportune time to, do what you wanted to do. And you did. And you did exactly what you wanted to do. And in a lot of cases, how you wanted to do it. So when your judgment comes around, don't think for one moment that mercy is going to be given unto you, because you haven't given mercy to the young, the maids, the women, the men, the old men, the age. Nah, you haven't given mercy to anyone of Yasharallah. In fact, you have forwarded the affliction. So if the Lord did this to us, imagine what he's going to do to you. Just imagine your punishment. You can't. You can't even fathom how much the Lord hates you. I can. We can. Because the scriptures tell us exactly how much he hates you. Anyhow, I'm enough on that. You know what I'm saying? This was a quick lesson through the spirit and power of Yahweh Bashem Yahweh Shai, based on a conversation I had with an Edomite at the plantation. But nonetheless, hey, you Jakes better wake up, because they don't give a shit about you. If it ain't affected them, they don't give a shit about you, Jake. Anyhow, and so with that, I'd like to give all praise, glory, and honors to Yahweh, Bahashim, Yahweh Shai, Bahashim, Harakah, Kodash. Double honors to the apostles of the great millstone who rule well. Peace and salutations unto the elect of the nation of Israel. Shalom.